Welcome back to the PI show. This section we're going to be talking about motorcycle accidents, Tony. The TAC and I think the Victoria Police are running a safety campaign.
There's been a lot more deaths on the road involving motorcycle accidents this year, Harry.
Well, the
as
stats
at the same time last year.
I think the stats as of 2009 were 290 people killed in Victoria on roads, car accidents, and of those 38 were motorcycles.
And there's only 4% of road users that are motorcycle users. So
it's a bigger percentage, yeah. But yes. I think the disturbing figure is over 1,044 motorcyclists in 2008 were seriously injured on the roads. That must be a lot of no-fault benefits, Tony.
Well, Harry, there's a lot, over the years, the motorcycle cases I've ever seen, they do come out with pretty horrendous injuries. It's very rare that you come off your bike and you don't have some sort of really nasty injury or more.
And so they're running a campaign on safety, but I think one interesting thing that's come up in cases that I've dealt with, that you've dealt with,
protective clothing,
is protective clothing.
Yeah, I think if you're not wearing the appropriate clothing, which is mainly gloves and leather jackets and boots, it reduces your damages, because the TAC will argue that
you've contributed to your own thing. Yeah. But I had a case where it was in December, the temperature was 110 degrees. The person rode the motorcycle in thongs, shorts and a singlet. And he was hit by a car and very nasty injuries, and TAC said he wasn't wearing appropriate clothing. Well, 110 degrees, wearing complete leather gear, you'd question that, Tony.
Well, Harry,
there's arguments both ways, but you'd question whether it's appropriate to wear full leather clothing when the temperature is 110 degrees.
It goes with the territory. If you want to ride a motorcycle, I think you've got to take the necessary precautions. And if you're a racing car driver, you go to Singapore and places like that and you've got those helmets on, I don't know how much they sweat during a race, but they can't possibly race without the helmets. So I think
No, helmets is compulsory. So helmets is in the legislation, but there isn't anything else in the legislation.
I think if you want to ride the bikes,
you have to wear leather gear.
Yes,
that's compulsory. Yes. Otherwise, your damages can be reduced.
They can be reduced. In fact, in the case you just mentioned now, I think he was fortunate that they didn't reduce it by
a little bit,
because we had medical evidence to say that the injuries would have been the same, notwithstanding the fact that he didn't have the leather gear. That's my recollection of the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Harry, what's also transpired is that because of the alarming increase in the number of motorcycle accidents, they're looking at introducing, similar to P-platers, where you have to have X amount of hours on a motorbike before you get a licence, and possibly 3 years of probationary period after you get your licence.
But that hasn't helped in with cars, Tony, with Victoria. You know, there's still a lot of deaths on the road with young people.
It's reducing the number of accidents as a whole.
Possibly, possibly.
But the deaths are still pretty high. In fact, this year we're running higher than last year, which is very sad.
But a lot of the motorcycle accidents are single vehicle accidents and in effect are no fault benefits. So
a lot of them are, that's correct.
Lose control of the motorcycle and run off the road, then you're entitled to no fault benefits.
That's exactly right. But there's a lot of cases where, you know, people cutting in and out.
Swerving to avoid cars, then there can be an unknown vehicle that speeds off. Yeah.
If a car's cut out in front of a motorcyclist and the cyclist comes off and the car's not identified, you can still sue.
There's a
provision.
Quite
a few of those.
Yeah, there's a provision in the legislation.
It's a nominal defendant, Harry, which is picked up by the Transport Accident Commission.
Yeah. But look, motorcycles
they're dangerous, Harry.
They are dangerous.
They are very
as
dangerous.
Someone said, they're fun to ride, and on a summer's day, it's a bit of freedom.
I've got a lot of friends that have ridden motorcycles and come off, and they've had very nasty injuries.
But bizarrely, a number have come off and then got back on the bike and continued riding after a period of time as well.
The ones that haven't had horrific injuries somehow manage to get back on the bike. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
They do, and it just shows you the attraction of the bikes.
Harry, there's this interesting case we're going to go to about a fellow that was injured in the ACT.
Motorcycle.
Yeah, what effects of this case?
Well, I think he had no memory of the accident. I think he was cut off by another car, and I think liability was admitted.
Yep.
He was a 62-year-old working in the ACT, he'd recently remarried.
Yes.
And his wife was 12 years younger than he, and his loss of a sex life was significant part of the damages.
So it's fair to say he was a young 65-year-old.
He was 62 and she was 50, and I think loss of companionship, if you like, was part of the damages.
General damages. Yeah. But the judge went through the evidence, and in particular there was a lot of debate about what he would have done in terms of work. Would he have worked beyond 65? And there was evidence given about that. What did the court find out?
Well, the court found that he was 62, but he would have worked probably beyond 65. And he, in his former life, I think he was up in Queensland, he was a super car salesman.
Yes.
And he says it was in his intention to go back to selling cars. And if he'd done that, he would have earned a lot of money.
Well, he said he wanted to work beyond 70, I think. That was his evidence.
The evidence was he was going to work beyond 70, but the court didn't accept that. But I think the court did accept that he would have got back to a high-paying job as a car salesman.
Well, Harry, just to highlight some of his injuries: multiple fractures of his left leg and foot, degloving injury to the right foot and toes, injured his ribs, neck and shoulder pain, scarring to his legs. Sex life had ceased completely since the accident. Requires full.
That was a big part of the damages, Tony.
Well, he only got 180,000 for general damage. Well, I thought that was light. Requires full length body pillow and wears a brace on the right leg. And so he had a lot of injuries, a lot of injuries.
Yeah, and in the ACT, all the medical expenses were part of the claim,
yeah.
And the total claim was just over $1 million.
Well, it was broken up in generals of 180,000, pain and suffering, loss of enjoyment of life. There was an argument about future medical expenses. The judge, in the end, plucked out a figure of 40,000, but he needs a total knee replacement, so I don't know, it might be a bit on the light side. Past loss of earnings, he got at 220, Harry, which would have been, what, 5 years?
5 years.
From the date that he had his accident
From
to the date.
05 to 09.
Yeah, so 5 years. Plus he got the tax component on that, which is the Fox and Wood. And future loss of income, the judge gave him 180 up to the age of 68?
68,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
And then in the ACT, you can also claim for loss of, what do you call it? They used to have a special name for it in Victoria, but services provided by the wife passing.
The Griffiths and Kirkmeyer.
98,000, yep. And loss of superannuation benefits of 44,000.
So
it was a reasonably substantial.
$1 million claim,
yeah.
And significant injuries. But for a 62-year-old, that is a big payout.
It is a big payout, eh?
A lot of it is, one part's medical expenses, one part is loss of earnings.
Well, he doesn't have much of a future, this fellow, I don't think. But look, we've got to go to a sponsors break, and viewers, don't go away. We're coming back with the mailbag, so please stay tuned. Thank you.